Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to 401 Sports World Network. Man, we have a unique show today. We have a debut of War Machine, and this is I know you're used to the sports, but 401 Sports World Network also branches off into many areas in social media space, and this is one of them. So, and this fits the bill for the people that's on today. So today, September the 3rd, 2024. As you can see in the red above me, Hot Tub Tony.
How's
What's
everybody?
going on, Hot Tub?
What's going on?
All right. And then the one and only Freedom Warrior in the other
Good.
corner there.
There we go. Freedom Warrior here. Sending out a shout
All
out to
right.
all my patriots out there.
All right. So that's what we got in the building today. And I'm Mr. 411. You'll see me in and out. But I'm gonna let these guys do what they do best. So let's get ready. We gotta take those credits and then we're gonna jump into today's topic. What's so funny? You'll find out in a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we go. All right, today's topic. What's so funny? We're gonna try to make it make sense on Sports World Network with Hot Tony and the Freedom Warrior. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. Type in 401 Sports World Network. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, and share because sharing is caring. Also, make sure you check out Hot Tub Tony on all social media platforms. Hot Tub Tony, right? You type that in, you'll find them. So make sure you find the one and only Hot Tub Tony on all social media platforms. And again, introducing the Freedom Warrior. He's in the building today. So I'll let these gentlemen take it from here. We'll give you the outline of what we're talking about. We'll put that on the screen. And uh, I guess Freedom Warrior, you can kick us off here. Let's get the party started.
Outstanding, Mr. 411. I'm happy to be here today to make sure that we could get this message out to all the patriots around the country and even those who are out of the country and visiting in other parts of the world. But if you are an American citizen and you are a voter, then you need to hear this message that we have. Right, Mr. Tony?
That's correct.
Okay, because we've got nothing but the truth, the real truth. Now, today we're going to talk about the Biden Harris years. And I think that's a very critical topic, an important topic to discuss because as it stands right now, it seems that there are a lot of people who don't know the failures of this administration, this current administration. And it started when Joe Biden selected Kamala Harris as his running mate. And I think he did that just to be politically correct. He didn't really want her, but he took her. He was forced to take her. And what do you think about that, Tony? Don't you think he was forced to take her?
I think that for him to secure the black vote was the reason that he selected Kamala Harris, and we've seen him do that throughout his presidency. Whether it be his
Hmm.
court picks, he did that with the whole nominee process, with it being all black women, and it's
Right.
of course with the Democrats and
Hmm.
how they address the black community. They pandered quite a bit.
Exactly, because actually, she put a heat round to his forehead, and you know what a heat round is, right?
Oh
A
yeah,
high explosive anti tank weapon, right? Munition. When she told him, that little black girl that rode that bus, that was me. Okay, because in Biden's history, Biden is a hypocrite.
oh yeah, very.
Biden Biden was a disciple of I think his name was Senator Byrd.
Robert Byrd, yes, correct.
Robert Byrd. All right, he was a grand dragon of the Ku Klux Klan in his state. Biden spoke at his funeral. He and Hillary. He was their role model, so to speak, and he bragged about that. So, but when he finally got his chance to run for president, what did he do? He go ahead.
He did exactly what his mentor would do: undermine the Black community as much as possible.
As much as possible and to the maximum. Because here now, all of a sudden, he's such a champion for the Black community, when in the past, he didn't want his kids to even go to school with Black kids. He said so. I don't want my kids in a racial jungle. Okay. He also incarcerated a lot of Black men, snatched them out of their homes behind crack cocaine, which he claimed was something that these guys should be put away for life. Yet and still, his son's a crack addict, but he's walking free. But let's get back to Miss Kamala. Why do you think he chose Kamala beyond the fact that he was pandering for Black votes?
I think it's just as simple as that. Nobody really wanted Kamala, and not a strong debater. She's not politically astute. She's not up on world affairs. So, but she was a safe candidate for him to pick out of all the candidates that were running for president at the time. Remember, he got the vote because of the endorsement of James Clyburn, out of South Carolina.
I know Mr. Clyburn.
One of those concessions that was behind, one of the behind door concessions was that to get the Black community, you needed a Black face in your administration, especially coming off the last Democratic win with Obama.
Right.
So give the Black people a symbolic victory, because nobody truly in the Black community galvanized around Joe Biden as a candidate. But Democrats ran a weak field of candidates during that first election of Trump. That said that Joe Biden was the strongest out of all of them, and he got the endorsement of a Black senator, one single Black senator. He didn't have the endorsement of the whole Congressional Black Caucus either. So this was a concession move. That's simple and plain.
Yeah, I know James Clyburn personally. I would say, I mean, not in a collegial kind of way, but I'm a native of South Carolina, Charleston.
South Carolina.
Yeah. And Mr. Clyburn taught at my high school for a while. He was in social studies or something, and then he ran for office in the state of South Carolina, and then of course he matriculated up to the U.S. Congress. But Mr. Clyburn is a very popular guy in South Carolina, and he delivered South Carolina for Joe. But I can tell you this much from what I have researched, even Joe Biden's wife, Jill, Doctor, as they call her, Jill, she didn't want Kamala. Okay, behind the scenes, they made him take her, as you said, to deliver the Black vote. And to me, that was sleazy. Okay. Now, there were other candidates in that race who I felt were much stronger than she. Okay. But he took her because he wanted that California vote too. That West Coast liberalism, to run through the entire election cycle to get the liberals involved as well as the Black vote. Because California right now, I'm going to call California Kamalafornia, because that's what California is right now. It's Kamalafornia, and it's going to permeate its poison across this country if this woman is elected president of the United States. What do you think? How would you rate their administration from day one to the present?
I rate is terrible. One of the big problems with the electorate as a whole is that we have a short memory. and things have been happening so fast over the last 5 years span that it sometimes gets overwhelming for people and they forget.
Yeah.
But we have to put all these things in context. First of all, Joe Biden ran his election the same way as Kamala's running hers now. He didn't do many interviews. He won one debate, reluctantly did a debate. They basically hid him, but Trump was viewed as so terrible, especially after the January 6th riot, that and COVID, that was a 1-2 punch. George Floyd uprising as well. So there was a perfect storm to make Donald Trump unpopular in his last year of presidency, and to galvanize the Democratic Party around a candidate that even the average Democratic voter did not want.
Right.
Joe Biden was always viewed as too old for the office.
Yeah.
As soon as he got into the office, he continued with the lockdowns from the COVID-19 lockdowns, which devastated. And that devastation to the economy, I think we were on pace to generate $117 trillion before COVID. During the COVID lockdown, that dropped down to $105 trillion that the country generated as revenue. On top of that, he basically spit in the face to the black community with one of his first bills being the Asian hate crime bill.
Yeah.
And that bill in itself, that the black community had been asking for decades.
Yeah.
A bill in that form specifically outlined us as a protected group. And you hear people now, they say, you mentioned bill. Any teeth in it. If you read that bill, it just states that lynching is a crime, basically.
Yeah.
But
well,
when
you know,
go to the Asian hate crime bill, you don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just to
I apologize.
sort of expand on what you were saying, what grieves me, and it has grieved me for many decades, is why Black voters in America have put all their trust, hope, faith in the Democrat Party. Do they not realize that the Democrat Party really is the party of the Ku Klux Klan? This is a party that changed their platform after Lyndon Johnson started the welfare program, okay? When he called the Great Society, okay? And he passed that baton on to all the Democrats that were up and coming, who were getting elected. You know, their thing was, and Johnson said it himself, I'm going to keep these niggers voting for Democrats from the next 200 years. And why did he say that? Because he thinks that all Black people want is a handout. Give them a handout, we get the votes. And that was the plan. And you know what? I'm sad to say that was rather ingenious on his part. Although I think it was not something that he would have done to any other race, but he did it to the Black community. And if you look at what they have delivered to the Black community, zero. Okay? Zero. What do we have to show for all the support that we give to the Democrat Party? You know, you look at the inner cities, where the majority of the Black population is in these large inner cities. The illegal immigrants are doing 1,000 times better. They're giving these people 150 grand to buy a house. Why aren't Black voters getting that kind of money?
Well, I think it's and when you look at it, when we say illegal inbound, they're not doing better. They're being artificially propped up. In Chicago and in New York, they've been given $7,000 a month living stipends. They've been given SNAP benefits, basically food stamps.
Yeah.
They're getting free housing. And yet we
Mhm.
see that these people who are given all of these resources, they're being
Mhm.
propped up as a group. And what do we still see? We still see that same group resorting to criminality. We
Of
still see
course.
them robbing
Mhm.
people in New York. Students.
Yeah.
We see them taking over a whole apartment complex in
Mhm.
Colorado.
Mhm.
So these people, and what we have to understand is that these are not political refugees. They're not running from political upheaval in their country. They
Mhm.
say that we're seeking asylum. A
Right.
poor economy in your country is
Mhm.
not ground for asylum.
No, it's
But Biden
not.
has basically opened up the doors and let these people
Mhm.
flood into this country.
Mhm.
They're not
What do you
being
think? Why do you think they did that though? What do you think their underlying reason for doing that?
to undermine the black vote.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
this has been going on since the last
Mm-hmm.
of Obama, the last term of Obama. It was
Mm-hmm.
content coming off of Obama with the black community, and we
Right.
saw it manifest when Hillary ran, which was
Mm-hmm.
a shoe in for her.
Right.
But the
Mm-hmm.
black community didn't galvanize behind it. That was one at the time that was the lowest black turnout in history.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you saw Joe Biden got a bump, and that bump was more so as a response to Trump
Mm-hmm.
than it was as support for Joe Biden. But
Mm-hmm.
black support among the Democrats had been eroding for about a decade now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's coming to a tipping point with this election that you're gonna be surprised when you see the black turnout numbers. Now,
Well, I hope I see it decrease rather than increase
well,
because it's time out now for the black community to wake up and understand that look, these Democrats always put a promise on the table, and then once you get them in, guess what? They forget you. They forget who you are and
mhm,
what your needs are because you're not voting in your own best interests.
that's
And
correct.
I want to say this to my black brothers and sisters out there who are American citizens, who sweat, toil, try to hold their families together. And you listen to these Democrats, and what do they tell you to do? Oh, yeah, go ahead, abort your babies, but guess what? They're not aborting theirs
They're not,
because
and then
they're diminishing
don't,
the black population.
you don't see any
Okay.
abortion clinics at the border
No.
telling the illegal immigrants to abort their children.
Yeah.
They
Black
put
parent, black, excuse me,
Planned
what's it
Parenthood.
called? Planned Parenthood is in the black community.
Mhm.
Okay. Now illegal immigrants are flooding the black community because they're flushing us out. And then they're buying up a lot of property, okay, all over the country. Okay. But they're not making housing affordable for the black community. These people, in my opinion, are evil, man. And
That- that-
they do not care about a black person in this country. They use a tragedy to play up to the black community. Like, oh yeah, so and so got shot, white cop shot so and so, and they want because they believe that what they believe that black people function off emotion and not intelligence
mhm.
and
To your
knowledge.
to your point, I want to address something with the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill.
Mm,
I found it infuriating that the very bill that bears Emmett Till's name was not
mm,
used to convict Carolyn Bryant, the woman responsible for the lynching of Emmett Till, who was alive at the time of that bill passed.
right.
When the black community said, "Okay, you passed the bill, Carolyn Bryant is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Put charges on her." And the Democratic Party basically said, "No, we're not going to pursue her."
Mm-hmm.
And out of the anti-lynching bill,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find any information as to how many people have been convicted since the passage of that
Mm-hmm.
bill. But what I did find was in the span of time that they passed the anti-Asian hate crime bill, they
Mm-hmm.
have punished 3,000 people under that bill.
Mm-hmm.
So you made a Asian hate crime bill, and you hear them now backtrack and saying, no, that bill wasn't specifically for Asians. It only mentions Asians and Pacific Islanders in that bill.
It did.
That's
It did. It did.
That's the only group mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
That put them in. That gave that group special dispensation. They are protected class.
Right.
But overwhelmingly, more hate crimes happen to Black people than any other group, than every other group combined. There are more hate crimes against Black people than every other racial group combined. And yet we have not gotten special recognition and special dispensation as a protected class, protected group of citizens.
Yeah.
But yet
I do agree.
we had a president that told us that if you're not Black, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black.
Oh boy,
And
he said that, and I tell you what, man, I about jumped out of my chair when I heard that.
I was so mad when he said that. So
yeah,
the lies,
and he said that to that guy. I think it's called Charlemagne the God or whatever. And he sat there like a deer in the headlights, man. I would have jumped all over him for that statement. You hear what I'm saying?
We got to understand they're not working in our best interest. On the YouTube platform, you have voice. You have
I think we kind of lost you there a little bit. Okay, there you go. Okay. You still with me, Tony?
I'm still.
I think. Okay, I can hear you only. I mean, you're coming in and out, but I do understand your point. Okay, there you are. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think what Mr. Hot Top Tony is expressing right now is the fact that, the Black community has been thrown a bone for so many decades by the Democrat Party. It's like they eat the meat and throw us the bones. And it's time for the Black community to wake up. It's time, guys. Look, stop the madness. Stop giving these people your votes. All they do is give you empty promises year after year, and then they try to make themselves look like, we are here to serve you. We're here to help you. No. I mean, if they were, then they would not allow our communities, when I say communities, but we're the major cities where there's a large, dense population of Black people, they would not allow crime to fester in those communities. They would not force the illegal immigrants to go flood those communities, but send them to Martha's Vineyard. Guess what? They won't be there for a split second before they throw them out. Okay. Ask Kamala Harris about that. When they see illegal immigrants show up, oh, get them out of here. Nope, this is not where they got to be. But where do they put them? In the city, Chicago, Philadelphia, okay, San Francisco, LA, all these major cities, Detroit, they send them there.
And a large part of that is to drown out the Black votes, because we know most of the places that they're ending up are where we have a large population of Black people.
Yeah,
that can swing elections. So you're seeing them dumped in the Chicago, where so goes Chicago, so goes the state of Illinois, so goes Detroit, so goes Michigan, so goes New York City, so goes New York State. That's where you're seeing these immigrants being put.
Right.
And I'm gonna go back to something that Trump said. When he said that, I didn't understand it at the time. I didn't agree with it. When he said they're bringing crime, they're bringing races, they're bringing drugs, and as we now, That's what's happening.
You know, it's coming to fruition. He said it, and it's been true all along. But they tried, and with the help of the mainstream media, who lies and push propaganda down the throats of black people in this country, and they use certain celebrities in the black community to support this propagandist uh, 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 messaging. Okay, I got to call them out. You look at MSNBC, they got a couple of people on there, you know, who are black, who push propaganda on behalf of the Democrat Party, you know, and folks who subscribe to watching that news network, which is really a propaganda arm of the Democrat Party, they buy into this stuff, you know, but these people are being paid to keep the black people on the Democrat plantation, so to speak.
Now, I want to say one thing on my behalf. Now,
Mm,
I am a true independent. I don't subscribe to either party. I stepped away from the Democratic Party
mm,
2012, and really hasn't voted for them except on a local basis on a
mm,
couple of elections in my city. Outside of that, on any national level, I haven't voted Democrat since 2012.
mm,
With that said, I am as impartial with this as I can be. Now, are
mm,
there issues with Trump? I have major issues with Trump, but my issue is not with his policies because I
mm,
can say, just looking back at his 4 years, he didn't institute any policies to directly harm the black community. But
mm,
juxtapose that to the Biden administration, they actually have a history of initiating policies that directly harm our community, the black
mm.
community. The immigration policy being the biggest one. That
Yes. Mm,
I mean that we can't overlook that because
mm,
we have a group of people
mm.
from countries that already have histories of anti-black racism in their home countries.
Right.
They have
Mm,
black people where they came from.
mm,
Those people are not allowed to come up here,
mm,
and they hold and harbor anti-black racism in those particular countries that they come from, Venezuela,
mm,
Colombia,
mm,
all the countries that they migrating from. Then
mm,
you put them in with the very community that they didn't like in their home country.
mm,
So you're creating a hostile environment for the native black Americans here in this country.
mm, mm,
And it's getting to a point it's going to come to the head. And
yeah.
when it does come to the head, they're going
Mm,
to put them out to be the victims and make
mm.
them out to be the villains.
Well, look, let's take a look at that, and we're going to take a bird's eye view at what's really going on. And Trump said it, but the media tends to push back on it in support of this administration, and that is that you look at the border and look at the thousands upon thousands of people who cross that border. Many of them come from China. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of them come from South America.
Mm-hmm.
Not all people, some people confuse that and think it's Mexico. No, these people are coming from all over all over the world. Now, what's going on in Denver right now? The gangs are running wild. These guys are carrying long guns, handguns, and I mean, even the governor of the state of Colorado is trying to play it down because this is an election cycle. But this is the tip of the iceberg.
Well, we
These
got.
are these are these are military age men that
Mm-hmm.
have come in here, and they came in at a rate of 50% above women and children. I didn't see a bunch of little kids with these men that came in here. They're men, and they're men who have the propensity to do violent acts, and they're proving that.
Well, we got to look at states like California. California had a bill, and I don't think it passed this time around, but I could be wrong. I haven't checked this. They just closed the
Mhm,
legislative session Saturday. They
mhm.
had a bill in place to allow illegal immigrants to become police officers. So people who can't even
Wow.
language
Mm,
country are allowed to police, and what community do you
Mhm.
think they're going to put them in? Our community.
Of course.
Not only that, you
Mhm.
you 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 have them. You gave them the right. You had a federal judge gave them the right to bear arms. The right to Second Amendment is has been strictly historically for American citizens. First white
Mhm.
American citizen, then we finally got
Mhm.
our rights to carry guns.
Mhm.
I am a believer in the Second Amendment.
I am too.
If people outside of your country, people that are not citizens of your country, right,
Mhm.
carry and bear arms, and they're
Mhm.
already hostile to a community, that is a problem
Mhm.
in of itself. That is a war waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's a problem of major proportion. Yeah. I mean, we're not only engaged in supporting wars abroad, but we have an internal conflict right here that has been brought on by this Biden Harris administration by letting all these people in. And I can tell you this, I really think they did it because they wanted these folks to come in to be voters too. And they were coming across the border thanking Joe Biden.
It's
Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you, Joe Biden.
it's very ironic that you said
Uh,
that, because there's a bill working its way through Congress right now that they're
mhm,
trying to tie into the spending bill that
mhm.
will allow illegal immigrants to
To
vote,
vote in our elections. Mhm,
and that's set to be voted on before the election.
mhm,
So if you think that we're being hyperbolic when we say that they're brought in to replace our vote, they're letting you
mhm,
in this in real time, and they're going to tie the
mhm,
bill up and shut down Congress,
mhm.
force a vote on allowing non-citizens to vote in the upcoming presidential election.
I know. I know.
This has been the plan from the Biden administration since day one.
Well, that, in my opinion, is probably the basis and the root cause for letting all these people come in. That is, they want to win elections in perpetuity, and they're using these folks to do it. But what they don't realize is Trump is telling us, and he told the entire country, these people are coming from jails.
Mm-hmm.
Crime has gone down in Venezuela, but crime is going to go up here because they opened the floodgate down there and told their criminals, go to America, get out of here.
But this is not the first time we've
And they
seen.
won't take them back.
This is not the first time we've seen this. We saw this in the '80s when Castro opened up the jails and let all the
Mm-hmm.
criminals into South Florida.
Uh-huh.
This is a
Mm-hmm.
repeat cycle. And what the Democrats don't understand is
Mm-hmm.
that most Hispanics vote Republican. That first generation, they may vote Democrat.
Right.
And the third generation, they vote Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they
Well,
fall into a one of those groups like the LGBT group or something like that, where
mm-hmm.
they can fall under that banner. But as a community, that's where their vote lies. But this
Mm-hmm.
whole plan to that's been the Biden administration has done this since day one. They've gone
Mm-hmm.
to every different group trying to cobble together a
Mm-hmm.
coalition of different groups to replace the black vote. You can
Mm-hmm.
replace the black vote for the Democratic Party. We are 44% of your voter base.
Mm-hmm.
We are the I think the single biggest group of demographics of voters for the Democratic Party. The rest of that 50 some percent
Mm-hmm.
is everybody else combined.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they cannot even afford to lose 5% of the black vote. And
Well,
yeah,
you know what?
they lose.
They can't afford it, but in my opinion, that 40% of the black vote, they should realize that they can't afford to give that vote continuously and in perpetuity to the Democrat Party because there are no positive results. Nothing has changed for the black community across America, in my opinion. And I grew up in the Deep South. Okay. And I've seen firsthand what the Democrat Party is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And the Democrat Party are really the kind of party whose philosophy is based on pandering
Mm-hmm.
and is based on making false promises, okay, and is also based on um, persecuting the Black community, okay. And unfortunately, they have given some Black people a little bit of position within the party, but they use them to try to hold everybody else in check.
Now, see,
Okay.
since you brought that up, let's touch on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, on Saturday, the California legislature closed out. They were set to vote on two key pieces of legislation
Mm-hmm.
for reparations for Foundation of Black Americans in California. SB 1403 and SB 1331.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats bill. Reparations was their baby. That's what they ran on. They did
Mm-hmm.
the study, 2 years worth of study. These two key pieces of legislation were to establish two things. One, that reparations would be lineage based, and that was key, that to keep it lineage based and not race based, so it cannot be struck down by the Supreme Court. And number two was to make it cash based. Governor Newsom indicated to the California Black Caucus that he was not in favor of it and he was not going to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
The Democratic Party, the Congressional Black Caucus in California, sunk their own bill and refused to even allow the vote to come to the floor. The author of the bill said the author of the bill pulled the bill. He did not pull the bill.
Mm-hmm.
The Republicans in California called their bluff and said, we'll bring the bill to the floor since you don't want to bring the bill to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They could not get a second. They could not get anyone from the Democratic side to second the motion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, admit the Democratic Party had the votes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would have been historic. They would have passed reparations in the state of California, and that would have been a blueprint for reparations for Black Americans nationwide. And they chose to think it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the party that you're asking us to vote for.
Yeah.
They have undermined us. Like you said, they break promises. This was a major promise that they broke.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I speak on the Democrats. I'm not speaking as from the point of view, because a lot of people will say, and I've seen somebody in the chat make that comment, well, you're parroting Republican talking points. No, I'm giving you facts.
That's
I'm
right.
Impartial voter.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm staunch independent.
Mm-hmm.
And I can name facts of how this party has undermined its Black citizens.
It has, definitely. And they do it 24/7, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. With a ferocious pace, too. And because now an election's coming up. So they are really like doing like 100-yard dash to the Black community to try to get those votes because they want to win. They want power. They want to continue to push their liberalism upon us, but creating class warfare at the same time. You know, the LGBTQ community, that's important to them. Okay. The illegal immigrants, that's important to them. When are they going to sit down and say, you know what? We've already jacked the Black community around long enough. When are we going to give the Black community what they have worked for and earned? When are they going to do that?
You're absolutely right.
When is it going to happen?
We are the only group that is told consistently by the Democratic Party that we have to wait. We have
That's
to
right.
Other groups of people over us every single election.
Every time.
Just wait.
Every
Just
time.
we're tired of waiting. Black community cannot wait anymore. We lost wealth. We lost wealth after the housing crash. We lost wealth under COVID. The black wealth gap has widened in the past 5 years more than it has in the past 50 years. The Biden administration. They said they get on here and they tout their records. Oh, we created more Black businesses than any other administration. You didn't
No,
take
no.
that. That is not a win for you. That is a win
Mhm.
for us as a community, because you had to come up with something when you had the COVID lockdowns, laid
Mhm.
off. Most of the people that got laid off their jobs were Black people.
That's right.
Way as they
Mhm.
found a way and started our own businesses without
Mhm.
from the greatest, the dominant society, without
Mhm.
help from the Democratic Party,
That's
without
right.
your economy. So it's our economy. You
Say
can't
it,
take.
brother. You're right. You're right. Okay. The economy is a big issue, really, in this election, and you know, Kamala. Although I was watching a show the other day, and I think it was a CNN, and a lot of the Democrats on the panel went into panic mode because somebody called her Kamala, and they went, "No, her name is Kamala." Like, okay, who gives, about how you pronounce her name? We want to know what her policies are. And you
Correct.
know what? Let's go back to 2020. What did they do? They hid Joe Biden in the basement,
Mm-hmm.
trying to run out the clock. So what is she doing right now? She's doing the same thing. She's trying to run the clock out, but she's running from herself because she's trying to run from her past. She's trying to run from her policies. She's trying to run from the things that she has said that were extremely radical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But
Well,
now she's playing I'm a moderate game. What do you think of that?
we can take a look at her economic policies. Mr. 411, can you pull up the stats on his Kamala Harris's economic plan? Because if we look at it, she had 5 key pieces of legislation, if I'm not mistaken. The
Mm-hmm.
first of it was housing. And under her plan, it was to give $25,000 to first-time home buyers with a
Mm-hmm.
stipulation, and this is what the media has not put out, with the stipulations that they were the first generation that bought houses. Well, that only applies to one group of people in this country, the
Mm-hmm.
immigrants. On top of that, $25,000 to buy a house when the median home price in the United States now is $500,000 is it's laughable. That's not
That
even
is. That's chump
that
change.
that's not a help. And most
Yeah.
economists say that that only benefits the sellers, which
Yeah.
will
Oh, definitely.
increase the home price in the
They increased the price. Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Her second piece of on her under her economic
Mm-hmm.
plan was to go after price gouging or with grocery chains and
What
food.
she called price gauging.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That my counter to that would be,
Mhm.
you're in office right now.
Now. That's right.
You're the vice president right now. Joe Biden is
Right.
the right now.
Mm-hmm.
Anything under your economic policy, you can do it now. We don't have to wait till you're president.
That's
We
right.
don't have to wait till it will hold more weight if you did it right now than it would
Mm-hmm.
after the election to do.
Mm-hmm.
Another issue that they said that they wanted to do was to do away
Not
with taxing.
taxing tips. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was first proposed by Donald Trump.
It was. It was his plan. She stole it.
That was his plan.
Yeah.
One
Mm-hmm.
more was the increasing Medicaid and Medicare access and prescription drug help. That only, and no offense to our elderly community, that only
Mm-hmm.
benefits a certain demographic.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't benefit
Mm-hmm.
all America. That doesn't even benefit most.
Child care credit. You're talking about child care credit.
That was the next one. Was the
Oh,
child
okay.
care.
Right.
That's this one was a Medicaid Medicare plan.
Okay. Yeah.
Credits is just an extension of what we already have.
Right. Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
been in place since the
Mm-hmm.
Obama administration.
Mm-hmm.
That is a small help, but not long term and not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a long term fix. That's a short fix right there. And once again, with her entire economic plan, I have to say it, you can do this now. You don't have to wait to the election. So the fact that you're telling the American public that, oh, I'm gonna do all of this wonderful stuff as soon as I get elected, it's counterproductive.
Day one. Yeah.
But you know what I haven't heard
it's
from
hypocritical.
You know what I haven't heard her say from day one that she's gonna do?
What?
Anything for black people.
What?
Specifically for black people. And I say specifically because that's my demographic. And
but she can get in front of a black audience and you know, put out all.
Am I going?
You know, why aren't you talking about making sure that we get the graduation rate up in the black community, our test scores, you know, safety in the black community, cleaning the black community out with these with drugs and violence? I mean, why can't that be a focal point? You know, I thought Obama was going to be that guy, but apparently he didn't prove himself to be.
Obama did,
but anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Black community.
But I want to ask you this question. She's talking about on her economy, her economic plan about the economy. Where do you think she's getting this money that she's flaunting? Like, you know, oh, she's gonna build houses, she's gonna do this, she's gonna do that. Where's that money coming from?
It's coming from our children's children, our grandchildren, our great grandchildren. Yeah, she's doing what this country has always done, borrowed.
Yeah. But you got people sitting out there, I honestly believing that she has the power and authority and the cash flow to make all this happen.
Most of what she's saying that she's going to do has to be voted on by Congress.
Exactly. That was my next point.
Joe Biden did the stuff that Joe Biden, the very few things Joe Biden was able to get done. Well, he was only able to do it under executive order because he took the money from the COVID relief fund.
Yeah.
And that's not being said enough. The money he gave to the Ukrainians, the money that he gave to the Afghans when he pulled out of Afghanistan and brought them here, the money that he's putting up for illegals, all of that is coming from the COVID relief fund. That money had been voted on for COVID relief. Then midway through, right before the election time, COVID went away. Miraculously, COVID went away. And
miraculously,
the funds are still there. That's how they're giving the illegals all of this money.
But a lot of was wasted in fraud and abuse too.
If you ask me, all giving the illegals all this money and resources, that's fraud and abuse.
Yeah. Well, she's trying to talk to these voters as though she's got all this money sitting aside to just give away. And that's the pandering. And that's not good for our economy in the future because our national debt is outrageously high. Okay. And when you have to borrow that money and you have to pay the interest on that money, it's not them that's paying it. It's us, the taxpayers. Okay. Because the government, how much money does the government have? How much money do they generate?
They have an unlimited budget because they create money.
Well, not only that, they print it. But of course, the other issue is that they don't really make money. They take money from us.
Yeah.
We are the taxpayers. It's our money. That's the issue here. It's our money. And then they spend it like they want to. And that's why they want a majority in the Senate and a majority in the House and hold the White House so they can do whatever they want.
They have robbed Social Security to the point that I'm a Gen Xer and I'm fully expecting to have a Social Security to fall back on when I turn 65.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because I paid my whole life into it. I've been working.
I hope it's there when you get there, man. I hope it's there.
The unfortunate part about it is a lot of the money that they're giving illegal immigrants Social Security.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, in closing, I think Mr. 411 wants us to go ahead and wrap it up. But this is just episode one of many more discussions to come. And I would love to really talk to you about this running mate that Kamala picked.
Oh,
Okay. I'm not going to call her Kamala. Her name is Kamala. Who cares how you pronounce her name? It's like a rose by any other name is either just as sweet, but then again, too, in this case, it's not it's not about her name. It's about what she stands for. Is what I'm concerned about. And this is what America should be focused on. This is what the media should be focused on. Forget the name. We're not about voting for people just because they got a name or because they get trot out a celebrity or two, like a Oprah or this other person. I don't need Oprah to tell me who to vote for. Okay? Because number one, Oprah's a part of the elite class. She could care less about the people down here at the bottom.
absolutely.
Okay? And the Taylor Swift crap and all that stuff. These people don't pay your bills or my bills.
And
Okay?
in closing, I would tell I want to speak directly to Black America.
Mm-hmm.
Do not vote for identity. Just because a person has a certain amount of melanin does not mean on your team. Look at her policies.
That's
Look
right.
and think critically. Do not
That's
let
right.
them sway you by putting celebrity in front of you. Do not let them sway you by telling you she's black.
Right.
When she's obviously not. But that's another topic.
It's another topic for another day. We're going to come to that.
Hold your interest. Look around your community.
Got to.
If your community ain't where it's supposed to be, if your pockets are not where they should be, if your pockets are less than what they were during the Trump administration and even during the Obama administration, that's a direct reflection on the Biden-Harris administration, and you should vote your interest.
I say it, and I can't say it enough. You just hit the nail right on the head, brother. We have got to get Black voters to realize that they're voting against their own best interests.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they've really got to have a wake-up call. And if they want to, be angry with you or angry with me because we are saying what we're saying, we're telling them the truth. Because they've been lied to for too long. And they need to wise up. And because guess what? The rest of the world is moving on. And they're leaving us behind. And I really think that it's going to become a point in time when the Black population is going to be an endangered race in this whole global perspective. Endangered, just like an endangered species, so to speak, dwindling down the numbers while they're raising the numbers in other ethnic groups in this country.
That's it. But it's on us. It's on us as the people to not happen.
Yeah. Tony, I'm going to catch you on the next one, guy.
All right.
Okay. Good discussion, my brother. Bye.